There is a plethora of self-imposed challenges one can do when playing through the Fallout games. You can use specific weapons, no healing, no deaths, whatever you really feel like to make the game harder. That's why today I'm gonna ask if you can beat Fallout 4 with only one life. Obviously, the first step would be my special stats, focusing mostly in endurance, but also putting points where I needed just for specific perks, such as luck at 5 for Idiot Savant, intelligence at 4 for Gun Nut and Hacker, or perception at 4 for lockpicking. Once that was done, I used my mod to skip the pre-war section because I really don't enjoy doing that, and it was time to set the gameplay to very hard. I looted around the top of the vault for a little bit to make sure that I pick up any ammo, healing items, anything that I could find, and I stopped by Sanctuary to spend about 30 minutes here looting as much as I could find, whether it be healing, ammo, or junk so that I could upgrade my guns. While I'm doing that though, I want to quickly go over the rules and other tidbits for this run. For rules, I'm not allowing myself to use power armor, because that kind of defeats the purpose of the challenge, since power armor basically makes you invincible. I've also got some mods installed that make it to where you take more damage from enemies, but also deal more damage to enemies on very hard, just because very hard kind of makes everything a bullet sponge, and I figured increasing the damage all around for everyone was a great idea. I also have a mod that lets higher level enemies start spawning while you're a lower level, as well as adding some more enemy types that are actually harder than the vanilla base game enemies. I figured this would all give it some more added challenge, and it actually made the run kind of stressful. So when I made it to Concord, I actually almost died to the first set of raiders, because I didn't really have armor yet, and they kept hitting me with Molotovs. So once those guys were down, I decided that I was going to actually clear out all the raiders in Concord. I didn't really help Preston this run, but I wanted the experience points, armor, etc. from all the raiders around, because I had quite literally nothing, and it was pretty stressful not having many healing items or any good weapons or armor, as I was taking a lot more damage than I was used to. I did, however, manage to find some lady that had a full set of Brotherhood of Steel combat armor, which seems great until you realize that that armor really doesn't save me. This was actually proven when I went to go help Dance, and I got kind of cyberbullied by a lot of the ghouls here. A lot of them were like level 20, 30 plus ghouls, and did around half my health per hit. I almost died here plenty of times. This was actually really stressful. I did manage to actually clear everything out and go into the police station to help Dance. I haven't sided with the Brotherhood yet in any of my runs, mostly because on the weapon-restricted runs, it's actually impossible to side with the Brotherhood of Steel because they kind of force you to sit in the vertibird and use the minigun at mass fusion. So I figured I would side with them this run just to give them a little love so it doesn't get kind of boring. In Arcjet, I found a really pretty gun from one of the mods that I installed. It turned out to be pretty overpowered though, so I didn't really use it because I didn't want to make the challenge too easy on myself, of course. Arcjet was fairly normal, nothing caused too many issues in here, the synths weren't too bad. I mostly just let Dance do all the work, and I actually let him farm some of the synths in the rocket test chamber because it would give me a bunch of microfusion cells for free, which I would not really use. I didn't actually use energy weapons at all this run. I figured I would, and then I remembered I didn't have enough points in intelligence to take the science perk, which meant that I couldn't level up energy weapons, so Dance basically gave me something useless. I made a stop by Red Rocket so that I could do a couple quick weapon upgrades, and then headed off to Diamond City to finally go rescue Nick. Before that, of course, I was going to do some resetting for the merchants because I wanted to make sure that I was fully stocked on ammo because I was kind of scared for the Triggermen. I also offed Kyle, who for some reason spawned here. Then I got into a fight with some spiders and found some nice legendaries. So on the way to Nick, I was actually caught off guard a lot. I had some super mutants that had miniguns. I had super mutants that were using, assault rifles already. I did find a really cool SMG, and then I promptly got caught in between a massive group of raiders and gunners warring outside the combat zone. This was actually the closest call I had with death at this point, because I was stuck with very little in the way of supplies. I pretty much wasted all my Molotovs here just to clear out the raiders. The raiders did take care of the gunners, though. Inside was a little bit easier, because I did manage to find a combat shotgun off of one of the gunners, which was just, so great. This made clearing buildings so much easier, and I was actually really happy to have found something like that. So, after offing the witnesses, I decided I was going to take Kate with me because I haven't used companions in any of my challenges so far, and I figured why not? This run doesn't say that I can't use companions at all. It didn't really make the run easier because Kate, doesn't have a whole lot of health, doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. I didn't really upgrade her armor either. She was in mostly leather and raider armor the entire playthrough. So after clearing out the Triggermen, because I was already in the neighborhood, which wasn't too bad, the Triggermen don't have much in the way of armor, and booping Dino in the back of the head with a sniper rifle round, I finally rescued Nick, picked up the bobblehead, and started clearing my way out of the vault. I also just used grenades against Skinny Malone because I didn't feel like risking it in that situation, and by now, I was level 14. That's how much stuff I've done since saving Nick. I'm never that high. I usually beat the game by the time I'm level 14 in most of my runs. So, after the interview with Nick, it was off to Kellogg's house. This time was actually a lot nicer though, because since I had Kate with me, I didn't have to steal the key off of the mayor. Kate could actually just lockpick me in. I found a set of veteran ranger armor from New Vegas, which I debated wearing, but it had a way more damage resistance than I thought it would, so I decided against it. At some point, I went and stopped off to upgrade the combat rifle that I found in Park Street Station and made my way to Fort Hagen, where there was a massive group of raiders fighting gunners yet again. The synths didn't prove too much of an issue. The combat shotgun was amazing here. I just took it slow and steady in here and made sure that I didn't die. Couple close calls, but nothing too bad. Nothing as bad as getting caught between those groups of raiders earlier, although I threw all caution to the wind when I found a fat man and proceeded to point-blank nuke Kellogg. Well, at least for once, I'm not the one getting nuked in a Fallout run. Back to Diamond City, and I did some merchant resetting, and then went and did the whole conversation with Nick and Piper, and it was off to Good Neighbor. Finn said Kate smelled, so Kate obviously offed him, which I promptly sold all of his shit to Cleo and bought some more ammo from, because I would need it. And it was time to finally sit through my favorite segment of any Fallout 4 run, that being Kellogg's Memories. Yeah, I still hate this place with a passion, so I just went downstairs to grab some yogurt while the memories were playing out, because I could give less of a shit. Off to the glowing sea, it was fairly uneventful. I made it all the way to Adam's Crater without really any issues. I also decided that I was gonna boop the Deathclaw outside Virgil's cave. Luckily for me, it didn't spawn as a high-level rarity one. So, with Virgil's conversation done about going to Green Tech and killing the Courser, I was off to Green Tech. And I was actually kind of worried about this because Green Tech has given me some issues in the last couple runs, but I just used the sniper and combat rifle that I had upgraded at this point to just very slowly pick my way through. I had plenty of close calls though. I got nearly killed probably 3 or 4 times in here. There was a couple legendary gunners in here as well, which was pretty fun. The Courser didn't give me too many issues. Kate kind of took the brunt of his damage, and he went down fairly quickly, and then I just immediately headed to Old North Church so that I could slaughter everyone inside. This was pretty spooky because I was worried about Glory and her minigun because that can actually tear you to shreds pretty quickly. She, however, did not survive very long, and the combat shotgun and sniper rifle made pretty easy work of everyone inside. Once everyone was dead, I decoded the chip, headed back to Virgil so that I could get the plans, and went back to the police station to talk to Dance again so that I could head up to the Pridwin. With arriving at the Pridwin, I got to watch the Brotherhood get assaulted by some giant fucking dinosaur lizard thing that was probably from one of the difficulty mods. It swept through way more troops than I was expecting. I didn't go down and loot their bodies, which was, in retrospect, a bad idea. After getting through all the boring-ass dialogue and more dialogue and talking to people, I could finally head off and deal with the next quest, which would be clearing out Fort Strong. Yeah, so fuck going to Fort Strong regularly. I was just gonna sit back and pick super mutants off with the sniper rifle, because every single one of them was a variant that had a skull next to its name, which means that they're scary. Every single one there, except for probably 2 or 3, was a higher level than me. After killing all the super mutants with my newly acquired service rifle, the only thing left was the behemoth, who I just sat back and picked off, which wasn't too bad. Inside was more of the same, just picking off super mutants, taking it slowly and carefully. Wasn't too many close calls in here. I didn't have too many issues in here as I had a lot of cover to work with. I also found a really cool cryo pipe assault rifle, which I would be using for the rest of the run. Went back to Maxon so that I could talk to him about the next step, which was going to be building the signal interceptor. This wasn't too bad as I had most of the parts all ready for it, and I got into the Institute, booped Father with a shotgun shell, fought some synths to escape, which wasn't too bad as the combat shotgun, of course, excels in close quarters, which just made this part pretty easy. Went back to Elder Maxon, who bitched about my actions, which I didn't really care about. To punish me, they made me go off and recruit some Brotherhood scientist, which I accidentally stepped too far onto the bowling range for, so all the robots aggroed to me, which kind of made me sad because I had to kill them all. The scientist was pretty much the same amount of pretentious asshole that Madison Lee is, so going back to the airport, I had to, of course, do some more shit for Liberty Prime, which consisted of building some actuators, which was pretty damn boring. I didn't really have much to do there, so I'm going to skip over that, and head off to Sentinel Site, where I got assaulted by an Annihilator Sentry Bot. This was absolutely terrifying. It kept trying to rocket me through the floor, so I cheesed it by sitting above it and shooting it through the floor. Nothing else of note happened other than some ghouls and finding a legendary, unique version of the Bozar from Fallout 2, which did explosive damage. I did not use that for the rest of the run because it was fairly overpowered. Turned Liberty Prime on, a lone raider decided that he could assault the airport, which did not end well for him, went back to Elder Maxon, who ordered me to go execute Dance, which also at this point I had upgraded to a full suit of Outcast, heavy Brotherhood of Steel combat armor, which was fairly sexy. I did enjoy that armor a lot. I convinced Dance that it was okay that he was alive. Kate got in my way, so the only proper response was to boop her in the forehead. Once that was done, I had to go outside and deal with Elder Maxon, once again being a whiny little bitch about me leaving Dance alive, and he told me to go kill the railroad. Again, even though I had already killed them previously in the run. So I'm not entirely sure why I had to go back here again, as I already killed all the leadership there, but with that done, it was time for Mass Fusion. I would also like to point out that by this point, I was almost level 27, which is crazy because I never get that high in a challenge run. Mass Fusion was, mostly the same as it is in every challenge run. I just sat in the elevator with a stealth boy, let Proctor and Grim do most of the work, fought some synths down below, and we took the long route down to the Beryllium Agitator. Of course, the Sentry Bot was also legendary, which made it even more difficult to take down, but for once, the Assaultrons actually weren't that big of a deal. They went down fairly quickly. For once, the Sentry Bot was actually the problem, and not the Assaultrons. With that out of the way, I went back to the airport, and it was time for me to shove my big, thick rod into Liberty Prime's hole. With that done, I could activate Liberty Prime and start the 20-minute segment of following him to the goddamn CIT ruins. Yeah, that's boring. I'm skipping to the CIT ruins because I don't feel like recording that. So, Liberty Prime let me know that he had no qualms about friendly fire as I watched him nuke a couple Brotherhood members. Inside the Institute was more of the same. I picked up some Institute weapons to use against them because I thought it was fitting. Found Father in a very weird predicament. I'm not entirely sure what happened here, so I laid him to rest, literally. Killed some more synths in the main room, and it was time for me to go place the fusion charge. I picked up an LAER from New Vegas while I was in the Institute and got very attached to that weapon. Nearly got my legs blown off by a plasma grenade, which in retrospect probably would have one-shot me, so I'm really glad that I avoided that. Placed the fusion charge and got teleported out of the Institute. Pressed the big blue button, because for some reason it's not red, blew up the Institute, and that was that. I beat Fallout 4 with only one life. So, in retrospect, this run was actually insanely fun for me. It was stressful at a lot of points, and I'm not used to playing Fallout this way, because I usually just go into every situation just smacking my head against it, hoping it works out. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, leave suggestions in the comments below. I'm doing a giveaway as well, which ends tomorrow, so be sure to check out the pinned comment. I appreciate all the support, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.